YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my updated NFL power rankings heading into week 4 of the season. Here every single Tuesday with these updated power rankings, and they are based on how teams are currently playing. The bottom left, you see our weekly content. Cannot wait for the rest of our week 4 content. We got weekly picks, score predictions against the spread, picks, bets, locks, rookie rankings, always adding more videos. You will not be disappointed by the content. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow us on Twitter. It's very important. A lot going on there. And then Twitter subs get some bonus content you see underneath me. And then sponsors in the bottom right, Liquid IV, code GOAT, GLD shop, code GOAT. Rocking the Bengals chain from the GLD shop. They have way more options, every team. We have a giveaway for them. You win a chain and a pennant of your choice. Giveaway link pinned in the comments, along with social media and anything, recent videos, anything like that. Check it out down in the comments section. On to the power rankings heading into week 4, ranking teams from 32 to 1 every single week. And very important, this is based on how teams are currently playing. It's not end of the year predictions, anything like that. But we will be adding a new video at the end of the week, starting this week, kind of placing teams in the tiers, like different contender tiers. So that kind of gives you an idea of my thoughts on them long-term for the season, where this video is kind of week by week how they're currently playing. So we kind of get a little bit of both there. But the Bears coming at number 32. They are currently playing like the worst team in football. So they currently are the worst team in football. So they are down a spot at 32. They can't really get anything going on either side of the ball. You know, where they're most disappointing is the offense and quarterback play. So, but it's really all around bad for the Chicago Bears right now. But a winnable game, I suppose, this week, because they play number 31. 31 versus 32. The Broncos are down 3 spots to 31. They lose the Raiders in week 1. That's looking more and more like a bad loss because the Raiders aren't good. Blow a comeback against the Commanders in week 2. And then week 3, they gave up 70 points. It was to the Dolphins, but they gave up 70 points. They're all around bad. I can't believe how bad the defense is. There's really nothing good about this team right now. It's pretty disappointing when you got Sean Payton on there, which I know it's year 1, but there was people that had, high expectations right away. But, so a battle of 31 and 32 in week 4 here should be interesting. The Panthers are going to stay put at 30. Tough part about the Panthers, you have to take your rookie quarterback out because he's injured, before the game, obviously. Your veteran backup who's been struggling in recent years plays better than the rookie, and you actually get offensive production and quarterback play production, and you still lose the game. So it's kind of like a double whammy there for the Panthers. But they are not worse than the Broncos and the Bears, so they're at 30. 29 the Raiders, another tough loss, at home, winnable game. You play a team that doesn't have much offense, but again, the Raiders had moments here and there, but the Raiders they're showing they're not good on defense. They're not good on offense. They have explosive play moments, but the running game is a little underwhelming. Offensive line kind of lied to us the first couple weeks, I think, and they have turnover potential as well. So they're down 3 spots, number 29, and their only win barely, it doesn't look that great right now because that team's ranked at 31. 28 is the Giants. They're down 3 spots. Tough loss to the 49ers. I know it's the 49ers, but the Giants don't have much going for them right now. Like, it shouldn't really be the case because they're a playoff team last year, but they don't, there's not really a part of this team that feels like it's good. Like, they're struggling in pretty much every single area. Of course, they have good players here and there, but that's pretty tough. And they're fortunate to even have 1 win right now. So they are at 28, down 3 spots. The Vikings are down 7 spots at 27, so maybe we didn't expect to see them down here this year, but they are 0-3. They have some explosive moments still on offense, but they cannot pick up a win. They can't get the job done in crucial situations in games, and they continue to make more mistakes than anybody in football. So it's kind of their identity at this point. Even though they got, high-powered this and that, and they can get production, and again, they're pretty damn close to being at least 2-1, 3-0, but they're not, so they're down 7 spots. That's pretty big movement for week 4 as well. We're starting to get in kind of where it was a little bit less movement, but still a little bit. And a lot from the Jets going down 10 spots, but that one was almost expected to happen because they won in week 1. They beat the Bills, so we actually moved them up, and they started in the top 8 range. So we moved them up because they won, because we based this off week by week, but we kind of said, maybe we can predict they'll eventually move down because they have Zach Wilson at quarterback, and But we kind of wait and see if that actually happened. But it's happening. They had opportunities in this game, and they couldn't pull it off. Offense just really, really struggled. Zach Wilson was bad. Not much separation from receivers. We know the offensive line's bad. I mean, the defense, I guess you could say, did their job, but the Patriots would drive a bit and waste a lot of clock at the same time. So the defense honestly didn't play as good as I thought it would. Not that it was their fault or they were bad or anything like that, but they're down a whopping 10 spots to number 26. 25, the Cardinals are up 7 spots. So they started the year at 32, and they were still 32 after last week. And there was people complaining about that, but again, it's week-by-week power rankings. They blew a huge comeback to the Giants, so it was very tough to move them up when you do that. But they go and beat the Cowboys, and they were pretty damn impressive doing so. And then now you can factor in that they had some good moments even in those losses, and they're tough to play, and there's a good game plan. They're well coached. So you kind of factor in those things in now on top of the win, so they're up now. They can go up. They're up 7 spots, but I think there was some complaints about them being 32 last week. Again, it was impossible to move them up after they blew a big comeback against a struggling Giants team last week. I think they were deserving of staying put. I was predicting, based on what I saw, that the Bears were probably worse. But again, my power rankings aren't predictions. They're kind of how what's happening right now. So the Cardinals, this is very simple. They do their job. They go out there and win. They get it, and then a bonus. They beat a very good team in the Cowboys, and they beat them up, I think, pretty good. So you're going to go up. You're not just going to move up. You're going to go up 7 spots. So that's why I like my power rankings. The teams decide where they go. The teams decide their fate in these power rankings. So pretty tough to complain about stuff. Just complain at your team, whenever you're – I'm not talking about the Cardinals anymore, really. Just you can't really complain at me where they're ranked. Complain about your team. They got to win. They got to look good. Looking good's the main thing, and then winning's the next. 24, the Texans, very impressive win against the Jaguars. They started a little slow. They were 0-2. They were beat up, especially in week 2. They were beat up here in week 3 as well. But they dominated the Jaguars in Jacksonville. And, they look good on all phases, all 3 phases. So Texans can be sneaky. They got to get healthy. There's probably going to be some hiccups still because they're very young. I love the future of the Houston Texans. Love me some C.J. Stroud. But that was impressive. So they're going to up 5 spots to 24, and they have potential to keep going. They could. We got to see more of it. It's just a start right there. So they're at 24. Titans are down a spot at 23. Yeah, they got obliterated by the Browns. Tough opponent. Maybe just based on them getting dominated, should they move down more? It's hard to move them below some of the teams that are below them, so that's kind of the situation there. Offensive line was rough in this game. They're still going to be tough. They're going to put up fights against teams. They're still holding on to that win against the Chargers, obviously. That was just last week, so can't really move them, have them ranked any lower than 23 right now, but we'll see. The offensive line and the offense might be a problem. 22, the Patriots up 2 spots. Much needed win. They won. Was I really that impressed? Not really. Defense kind of did their job. The Jets had chances. They were starting to move a little bit. They had some chances. Patriots kind of kept them in the game. Offense, they moved the ball a little bit, but then couldn't really execute, kind of relying on field goals. It was kind of just they kind of did their job. Defense did their job, but they're up 2 spots to number 22 after a win. 21, the Rams, down 3 spots. The Rams feel like a decent 1-2 team, honestly, but the second half of that Bengals game was rough. It felt like, as soon as you start to see a little bit of it in week 3, and you see more of it in week 4, more of it week 5 of teams' kind of true identity. And then week 1 and 2, even though they lost in week 2, we saw some good things from the Rams. Maybe they were better than expected, but then all of a sudden something happened in the second half of that Bengals game in week 3, and it was like kind of reminding us of last year. Just very poor pass protection. Stafford a little careless with the ball. Just really not that great on either side of the ball, but they'll have explosive plays here and there still, so kind of gives you the bad flashbacks there. So they're down 3 spots. They still have good moments throughout, the entire resume, I suppose, but, they're down 3 spots. And they'll play, so it happens to be 20 plays 21 this week. The Colts are up a whopping 7 spots. A lot of movement here for week 4. They beat the Ravens. Was there a lot of super positive takeaways from the Colts win? Not really, other than they beat the Ravens. I think Zach Moss was one. And I think he can have a good game this week as well, but off topic. They kind of just get out, and the defense stepped up when they needed to. I like the coaching, the Colts, but still, can they continue to just keep winning? They'll continue to climb. They still got a lot of proving to do, though. But they are positive. They're 2-1 right now. That's a big game for both those teams between the Colts and the Rams. So the Colts up a whopping 7 spots to number 20. The Bucs are down 2 spots at 19. It was a tough one against the Eagles. That was kind of the Bucs were kind of like a surprising 2-0 team, but that was a little bit more what we expected there. But it was a tough team in the Eagles, and I still think the Bucs are better than we thought they would be. But we kind of got to wait and see. We got to see more. But they were pretty damn good in the first couple weeks. I mean, the Bears win isn't the sexiest part of the resume because the Bears are at 32, but still 2-1. They have moments where it's like, okay, they're probably better than we thought they would be. So for right now, they're at 19, but they're down 2 spots. 18's the Commanders, down 3 spots. And another one where you get obliterated like that, and it was kind of an embarrassing one. Just completely dominated, 4 interceptions, and it's like, all right, maybe the Commanders can give the Bills a fight kind of going into this game. Like, no, not even close to being ready to playing with the big boys here. But they are still coming off impressive weeks 1 and 2. They did play weaker competition, obviously, in those games. Maybe fortunate to have a win right now, but there was still some good moments throughout that, and they lost to one of the top teams in football. Do I think they're deserving of being below the teams that are below them? And a lot of them are 1 and 2 or 0 and 3. Maybe you can argue the Bucs. The Colts move up a good amount of spots already, though. So the Commanders are sitting at 18. Let's see if they can bounce back. They do play the Eagles this week, though. 17, the Chargers up 6 spots. Still some work to do. They're 1 and 2, barely squeaked by the Vikings. When things were kind of bouncing their way, obviously. That's the thing. Like, Herbert played so well. Like, put them away. Don't let them come back. Don't let it be interesting. But they're still very explosive on offense, and the defense stepped up this past week. And even though the Vikings were 0-2, it's like somewhat of a big win still. Now the Vikings are 0-3. They were 0-2 when they played them. So they're up 6 spots to number 17. Still want to see more from the Chargers, though, going forward. The Packers are at 16. They're up 5 spots. That's a good come from behind win. Pass rush was good. Like that Jordan Love is, smooth, like calm. But overall, it's a win. It's impressive. I do think they're a little fortunate that Carr got hurt. I don't know if they would have won the game that way, but at the end of the day, they do win. And there still are some impressive things. So they're up 5 spots to number 16. Still want to learn more about the Packers to kind of buy in more, for them being a better than this team, like that spot. 15, Falcons are down 3 spots. Very, very much a lack of offense. Going against the Lions defense, you expect them to score more than 6 points. So they're one of the more disappointing teams this week because of that. Defense does feel better. They were pretty good in the first 2 weeks. They still need more of a challenge. They did not live up to the challenge against the Lions. So we'll see going forward. I think the way their offense is and could be at any given time, you kind of think they could get pushed down the ranks here, but time will decide that. For right now, overall, as looking at their resume and the other teams' resumes, they've been better than the teams ahead of them. Are they better when it's all said and done? That's a different story here, but we will see. It's a disappointing outing, though. 14, the Jags moved on 5 spots. It was extremely disappointing. One against the Houston Texans, just get dominated. A lot of sloppy mistakes that, will they be happening every week? Even special teams, things like that. But they got to stay more consistent. They got to catch the ball better. I think Trevor Lawrence is still playing pretty well. They still have bright moments here and there, and I still go back to week 2, even though it was a loss. They played extremely well on defense and played the Chiefs tough. That's tough when your positives are during losses. That's a tough part there. So down 5 spots. Maybe they can get back on track here this week. And that's another one, actually. The Jags play the Falcons this week. So we have a couple of the teams, 31 versus 32, 20 versus 21, 14 versus 15. Any more that happen like that? We'll see. But that'll be interesting. 13's the Saints. They go down 2 spots. Overall, I've been very impressed with the Saints' defense and their explosive playability on offense. The offense kind of gets stale at sometimes, though. And they could have done a little bit better job in this game, but Derek Carr did go down. At the end of the day, they lost, and they blew They lost the fourth quarter and lost the game, so they're going to move down. But, I do think they outplayed the Packers for most of that game, and if Derek Carr didn't get injured, they probably win it. But, I guess an assumption. They're down 2 spots to 13. Overall, I've liked how their defense has played this year. 12, the Bengals get a big win, and it really a big part of them going up 7 spots is the second half of that game. It looked like the Cincinnati Bengals. And there's still things to work on. They're not fully back, but it kind of felt like, the Bengals always start. They went 0-2 last year. They always start slow. And then second half of week 3, something clicked. The defense was much, much better than it was the other weeks. The pass rush was going crazy. The offense was clicking. Whether it was the run game, the pass game. There was still some bad moments, offensively throughout the game, but something clicked all of a sudden. That's a big win because the Rams, they're 1-2, but they're a very tough 1-2 team. So that was a big time, much needed win for the Bengals. So starting to get back on track, but back on track for the Bengals is top 5 team. So they're not quite there yet because they got to build up more of a resume here. So they are at number 12. Number 11, the Steelers. Yeah, it's interesting. They did win this week, and they ended up moving down. So kind of rare. This year hasn't really been that rare, but it's mainly because I think teams need to be ahead of them. The Steelers are. I didn't go. They won. I'm moving them down. It was more of other teams were deserving of being 9 and 10. Basically, I think 2 teams moved ahead of them, while another team dropped down below them. I believe so. The Jaguars. Yeah. So. If the Steelers would have went out and just dominated, mainly what I was looking for the Steelers was offense. Playing arguably the worst defense football on the Raiders, and I guess they got the job done when they needed to. It's still a little stale, still a little disappointing. They rely on the pass rush and the defense, and they got the job done there. And it was a good win. Overall, positive week for the Steelers. They're 2-1. I do think 11 is a very fair rank and where they belong right now, obviously. But if they would have went out and dominated on offense, it would have been impossible to move them down. But still some things where they, could work on a little bit. So they are 11 is fitting for them right now. And then number 10 is the Lions. That was kind of the thing. I thought the Lions needed to be ahead of the Steelers, coming off a win, an impressive win against a hot Falcons team and just dominating them. I mean, winning with offense, the run game, the pass game. And then look at the defense. The defense, which kind of been a little bit of a question, dominant in terms of run stop, stopping the run, much improved. So kind of doing things that they're not that were kind of questions, and then getting a big win. So the Lions to me had to be top 10. So they're one of the teams that kind of was the real reason why the Steelers moved down a spot. And the Seahawks I thought were deserving of being right here as well. Another great offensive performance, and last couple of weeks looking like one of the better offenses in football that can kind of score when they need to. They can win with the run and the pass. That Lions win in week 2 holds a lot of value right now as well. So that was kind of the thing with the Steelers. Overall positive vibes. Pass rush was elite. They got a win, 2 in a row. Jaguars moved behind them, but then 2 teams, the Seahawks and the Lions, coming off those wins, were deserving of being 9 and 10. So that was the case there. Makes sense. Top 8, Ravens down 2 spots. Disappointing loss to the Colts. And you could say, well, they're beat up. Well, it is what it is. We don't give teams a pass in the power rankings for that, and that's kind of the Ravens' identity is being beat up. That's a tough. You shouldn't lose to the Colts. You can't let that one slip away. Honestly, thought they would move down more, but teams below them. Should they be ahead of the Ravens? I mean, maybe the Seahawks and the Lions are coming. I mean, not quite yet though. Ravens are still 2-1. So they're down to 8. There's not really a large group of teams that are like great, So that's kind of how I feel about this right now. 7, the Browns up 1 spot, dominating win against the Titans, who usually play teams tough, but Browns, offense was, they didn't have much of a run game. Teams usually don't against the Titans. But Deshaun Watson went and played his best game as a Cleveland Brown. Amari Cooper, maybe 2. They were fantastic. Defensively, fantastic. The pass rush was elite. They stopped the run. I mean, it was against Derrick Henry. It's a newer Browns team here, so they're looking legit. It was a tough loss last week. Obviously, some fluky things happen, and Nick Chubb goes down. But overall, through 3 weeks, combine all of it, they've been a pretty damn good team, and there hasn't been too many teams you can say that about. So they are definitely in the top 7, definitely. 6, the Cowboys go down 4 spots. Yeah, it was a devastating loss against the Cardinals, like a bad one. You know, you can't just get outplayed, beat up like the Cardinals like that. But I guess things slip. Good teams slip up sometimes, and Diggs did go down in practice. It was kind of like a fluky, devastating thing, and that affected them definitely. But at the end of the day, they lost. It was disappointing. They're going to go down 4 spots, but we can't forget, the entire resume. The first 2 weeks, they look like arguably the best team in football, just based on those 2 weeks. But we're only basing things off of 3 weeks total, so you do have to remember that as well. So it's not like we can have them plummet completely, especially with the other, because we can still consider the Cowboys a good team. With the other good teams, are they all of them playing that great still? So they're down 4 spots. Number 6, number 5 is the Buffalo Bills, up 2 spots. A dominating performance against the Commanders. If the Bills were 3-0 right now, I think we'd be talking them, 2, 1, 2, 3 around there. But so they didn't lose. I mean, against the Jets, I don't know if I said that. If they didn't lose first week against the Jets, but so that's part of their resume when it comes to these power rankings still. But in general, like the outlook for the Bills, like going forward, forget that first game. They will not tell you who the Bills are. They have been legit. They are legit. They've been extremely impressive on both sides of the ball these last 2 weeks. So this is one of the great teams of football right now. So they are up 2 spots, number 5. It's just an absolute massive game this week. And we'll talk about who they play in a little bit. For the Chiefs, they dominated the Bears. It was good to see the Chiefs kind of, look like the Chiefs. Because in week 2, they beat the Jags. They had a really good defensive performance, but they couldn't get much going offensively. Maybe that win doesn't look that impressive now, but still a win. But impressive this week. They did play the worst team in football, but they're going to stay put at 4. They're the highest ranked team with a loss, so keep that in mind. And them and the Bills kind of in the same boat, like the 5 teams in the top 5. Like I knew those 5 teams were going to be in the top 5. Like those are the clear-cut teams up there. So the Chiefs have 4. Eagles, that's more like it for the Eagles. They were 2-0, and I was like, it doesn't really feel like the Eagles, though, like last year's Eagles. And in week 3, you felt a little bit more of it. Hurts did have a couple interceptions, and maybe he's fortunate he didn't throw another one. But overall, they're very explosive. Hurts also made some ridiculous plays, absolutely ridiculous plays. Maneuvering in the pocket and mainly the throws he was making. And DeAndre Swift continues to run wild. They continue to collapse the pocket, get pressure, get sacked, get after the quarterback, make big-time plays. So that was a little bit more like it, kind of the explosiveness, the playmaking ability that the Eagles were. So they're going to go up 2 spots to number 3. And then on to the top 2, the Miami Dolphins up a spot to number 2, dropped 70 points in Denver Broncos. Yeah, the Broncos are bad, but they dropped 70 points. The Dolphins have an elite offense that is completely in rhythm, like polished, ready to roll, like just in week 3, now going into week 4. Defense stepping up a little bit, too, since week 1. So they are into the top 2, been extremely, extremely impressive. Can't really move the 49ers, though. They've been at number 1. Since the season got underway, they've been, number 1 since there's been games under every team's belt, I should say. So it's tough to move teams. Like I can move teams down when they win. We've seen that. But if teams just look really, really good, it's impossible, And the 49ers did that. Like when they need to score, they will score. When they need to make a play, they will make a play. They have playmakers everywhere. Purdy just continues to get better. Big elite playmakers everywhere, like I said, both sides of the ball, so well coached. When things don't go the way, they kind of pick it back up. When we need to go make a play, they go score. So love that about them. Probably the more balanced team, maybe the most balanced team right now. When you combine offense and defense, maybe you can argue somebody else on paper, maybe not. Maybe it's the 49ers on paper, but I'm more so talking about how they've been playing, how the offense and the defense have been playing through the 3 weeks. 49ers have been extremely impressive. I mean, Steelers won 2 straight. Their only loss is getting dominated by the 49ers, so that looks pretty good on the resume. Again, the Rams are a tough 1-2 team. They were 1-0 when the Niners played them, and they beat them up, and they go beat the Giants up in primetime football, short week playing from Sunday to Thursday. So, yeah, tough to move them down, even though the Dolphins do feel like a number 1 team. So that's really who's only considered for number 1 right now, Niners and Dolphins. They feel like number 1 teams. Eagles are right there. They played more like themselves this week. The Chiefs and Bills feel like they're on the level of those teams. They just have a loss, which kind of matters in something like this, especially when there's only been 3 weeks played. And again, Cowboys tough loss. Browns been very impressed with them. There really hasn't been like consistently great teams besides, I'm confident with the top portion of teams we talked about, but we'll see if anybody can get consistent. Anybody else can get hot. See if these hot undefeated teams can stay hot and undefeated. We will see. These teams will decide what happens, where they go in these power rankings. But yeah, and I thought of that video we'll add later in the week. Kind of more of like a contender. I was thinking making it like more like a tiers video. So putting teams in categories, and it's more predictions. How do I feel about them based on what they've done, what they can be at the end of the year? Super Bowl tiers, playoff tiers, non-playoff tiers. So some people like their power rankings that way. So I guess then we'll have both. Like this video is based on how teams are playing, the way I like it. And then we'll kind of add that. Maybe add some, more predictions in that, in that type of video. It's a predictions like type video. That doesn't make any sense, but you get the point. This one is not predictions. Weekly updated power rankings. Hopefully you guys enjoy them. Subscribe to notifications on. We have the full NFL coverage here. Check out all of our content, more where that came from for week 4, weekly picks with the guys, score predictions, bets, and much, much more, and always adding content. So that'll do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.